First up is roll call. Darlene? Here. Here.
Here.
Here. Here. Here.
Thank you, Darlene. Next up is public comments. We have a big public attendance tonight, but public shall have the opportunity to directly address the board on any items of
Kind of
interest.
like an A's game, isn't it?
Yeah.
Can we put a tarp across the chairs?
Public comments on items not on the agenda and within the jurisdiction of the board are welcome. Subject to reasonable time limitations for each speaker. If you wish to address the board at this time, please state your name and lot number and reserve your comments to no more than 3 minutes so that others may be allowed to speak. No action will be taken. Do we have any public comments? Hearing none? Hearing none, we'll close the public comments. The consent calendar. Consent calendar items are considered routine and will be approved by one motion. There will be no discussion of the item unless a director requests a specific item be removed. Does any director wish an item removed from the consent calendar? All right, hearing none, do we have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
All right, you got a motion by Cheryl, second.
Second.
You got a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the consent calendar, say aye. Aye. Any noes? Passes unanimously. Next up are the minutes, the approval of the minutes for May 16, 2017.
I move that we approve those.
We got a motion to approve those minutes. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
A motion and a second. Any further comments on the minutes?
No, I wouldn't think so.
Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the minutes for May 16, 2017, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, hearing none, it's approved. Next item of business would be the President's report. Prior to today's meeting, we met in executive session and we reviewed legal invoices and discussed some other legal issues.
Guess we should have abstained.
That's the end of my report.
I think we abstained on the minutes. We were busy chatting.
So your golf game is what again?
All right, the chair will reopen the minutes and note the abstentions of Mr. Summers and Mr. Maybe from approval of the minutes.
Sorry
Close
about that.
item.
It had to do with some billing. We were, but
5 more months.
You're gonna miss us.
I know.
oh, he's going to be missed too.
No, he's not.
No, he's not. Nobody's missing me. All right, that was the end of my president's report. We had a very short executive session. Kind of like the open session here tonight. Next up would be the general manager's report.
The first item is an update on the Greens Park. We do have the permit. We're ordering construction staking. Hopefully that'll be done probably the end of this week. Then grading will start next Monday, June 26th. We have concrete scheduled for July 17th, landscaping scheduled for July 31st, and asphalt playground equipment scheduled for mid-August. A lot of this might move around a little bit just because we have to make sure the concrete gets the right curing time before we do some of that work. But right now, that's the schedule that we put together for the park construction. We would like to have a ribbon cutting at the park, and so I'll get a memo out later this week with the time and date for that, possibly shoot for next Monday if we've got the grader on site, and have a little ribbon cutting at that time.
All right, sounds good, perfect.
Greg, that jogged my memory because we were talking about Mark Pekovich. That was one of the questions he had was was there going to be a ribbon cutting ceremony?
Yeah, we will pull one off.
Would CSD be notified or?
Okay, yeah, I'll shoot him an email too. I'll try to get that out tomorrow then.
Hot dogs and beer?
Watermelon.
We're in the budget, so no hot dogs.
So,
7 in the morning.
Craig, could you send the board of directors a memo too?
Any questions on the greens at this time? Okay.
I think we ought to invite, I guess, the developer to the parks, all the parks committee.
Yeah, Parks Committee, yeah.
Parks Committee function. All right, thanks.
The next item is the revised channel lineup. Mike Powers met with the Communications Committee on June 14th to review the new proposed channel lineup. The new lineup for the basic package includes approximately 30 new channels, several which have been requested by residents. In addition, one set-top box will be included at no charge. The Communications Committee approved the new channel lineup and pricing and recommends the board do the same. Greenfield hopes to release a letter to the residents, which I understand has gone out. Going out tomorrow? Okay. Promoting the changes in pricing structure. And so I'd like to do two things. Number one, I'd like Brandon to come up and answer any questions the board might have about how this is going to be working. And the second thing, a vote by the board to approve the revised channel lineup as presented by Greenfield.
You need a motion on that, or, well, let's hear it.
Do we have any questions, I guess, for Brandon? I have a question, I know when we had our own cable system when I was in communications, sometimes these contracts were like, they had escalators in them for 3 or 4 years. Is that what you're working on, or is it just a yearly renegotiation with Dish at this point, or do you know?
Yeah, it's an annual negotiation with Dish, and however, prior to what we were going to be launching on August 1st, we had a lineup that is similar to Dish Network's. It's called their Top 120, which is their most basic package. The next most robust package is the Top 200. So the issue is that Dish was going to raise their rates on the 120 package $4 a month, but not on the Top 200 package. Since they were raising it already, we discussed with them the possibility of getting the Top 200 and broadcasting that out. So what we've done is actually handpicked the majority of channels that customers are looking for, because even though it's called the Top 200, there's a lot of customers that don't care to watch home shopping channels, that aren't in English or whatnot. So we're trying to pick the best ones that are going to be coming out of there. Now, what that's going to mean for the residents is we're going to be adding, I believe, 33 additional channels. The main ones are going to be Hallmark Movies and Mysteries. We're going to be bringing those back. And so the cost is going to go to $48 a month on August 1st with all the additional channels that are coming through. So.
All right, thanks. I noticed, and I guess I will note that under the old RMA cable system, I don't know if you were here, Brandon, or not when you finally phased it out, I think that was like $49.
Correct,
for
correct.
So you're still saving $1. And so if that had still gone on, it's probably like $55 or so.
Correct. So what we're doing is there's in the old RMA system is $1 more than what we're going to be charging for this one. There's no duplicated channels. I think we had 40 of them on the previous system, and well, there's a lot of people that are going to be excited about these channels. So we're going to move our channel map slightly for the less watched channels. So we have a standard def Comcast Bay Area, standard def Comcast California, right next to the high definition ones. We'll be pulling those out, putting them somewhere else in the channel lineup above channel 128, and adding in other ones like CBS Sports or something along those lines. So when you wake up in the morning on August 1st, you'll essentially have 128 channels. There'll be a lot of the more premium channels that people would like to watch in that lineup, and then if you want to get all the way up to the 157 that we're going to be offering, or maybe 155, it's going to be just a simple channel scan on your television.
And then I had a question there. I just lost my thought. Oh, I know we had discussed, or there was discussion. I have like the advanced dish on it with the hopper, so I'm a little different. But you just had the basic. I mean, there was an issue in the past where like channel 3 may not have been on channel 3.
Well, yeah, no, you're still going to have that with your locals, because like Fox 40 is obviously, you know, is we don't want to put that at channel 40. We try to group all of the locals, you know, at the very bottom of the package. And in addition, the frequency that our scrolling guide comes on is on channel 3, so we cannot put local channel 3 on there, and it just offsets everything. So A lot of our Spanish locals, however, we're gonna move them and replace them in that bottom lineup with some, either a sports package or like a Lifetime Movie Network, somewhere down there in the bottom. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna release, everybody in the community is gonna get a paper with exactly why we're changing, what benefits, the price increases, the dates, what they should expect, and we're gonna hold an event sometime the next few weeks that's so that the community can come and talk to us and we can, talk with them. I think we're gonna have a bounce house and maybe a putting tournament. We're getting it all together, so.
Well, where's that gonna be at, over the golf course, or?
Yeah, that's to be determined, yeah. We just got the email of the locations and the different events that you guys hold, and so we're gonna try to coincide with those to, yeah, go ahead.
Excuse me, Brandon, you said it would take effect August 1st. Here, this was May 30th, so it might be old. Here it was a rollout effective date of July 1. So is it July 1?
Yeah, no, that's the old one. It's
Okay,
gonna be,
so it is
because
August.
mine's updated, it's on June 13th, so August 1st.
Okay, thank you.
Our issue with releasing it that early is we would not be able to obtain the
No,
equipment and do our
perfect.
testing.
I just want to
and
make
whatnot.
sure.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
saying August 1st, then we're
August
good.
1st, yes, August 1st.
Yeah.
So essentially for the community, they're gonna get a lot more channels, a lot more robust package. If you were to get the exact same package from Dish Network, it would be significantly more. There are a lot of customers who have had to upgrade their packages to get Hallmark Channel, and I have the numbers here, that they'll actually be able to downgrade their equipment and save them a considerable amount of money, being that's the number one requested channel from the community. So the
No, I thought it was intriguing, because even, like I said, I got everything, but most of what I watch, I think is gonna be on the.
Exactly, and so like right now I'm looking at an existing upgraded package at $82 a month, which is what a lot of people would be paying to get the current Hallmark Channel. They'll be able to drop down to a $65 rate to keep the exact same piece of equipment and watch the exact same channels. Nothing's going to change except for their price would drop. So, and then a lot of people might even get rid of their receivers if they only. Some people only have a receiver to get the expanded programming. They may even drop that and then go down into that $48 range. So.
Is the price locked in until July 31st?
It's an annual, it's a 1-year lock, and we're the only company that's negotiated this because we pulled a lot of our projects together that have the same services and just negotiated one bulk package.
All right. Any other questions from the?
Yeah, if I understand our brief conversation before the meeting started here, let me reiterate just a little bit. So I have basic. If I want to keep the basic package, which is going up to $48, I could still get these additional channels, which are 33 or whatever it was, but they're going to come in that same matrix of 4 to 128. And I would only need a box if I wanted to get the channels that have been dropped off of that current schedule of 4 to 128. Is that true?
Oh, no, so you don't need a receiver at all. So what we're doing in this package is we're offering one. So there's certain people who have TVs that are incapable of pulling in that many channels, and in that case we have receivers for that. So you don't have to have a receiver for your change. You're gonna wake up on August 1st, your 128 channels are still gonna be there. To get the additional channels, you'll just go into your TV's menu, tell it to rescan, it'll pull that in all the way up, it'll scan up to 157. So that is to be done at your convenience. So if you decide not to do it for a couple of weeks and then one day you want to scan to pick up those channels, that's all you need to do. So there's
Those channels will replace the ones that you mentioned, the Spanish-speaking channels
Correct.
and the duplicates that are not high def.
Correct. We're just moving those to a different part of the channel lineup. So they're still going to exist. We're just moving them higher up. We're moving a lot of home shopping networks. A lot of channels that are our least watched channels, we're putting at the very, very top of the spectrum. And that way our customers don't have to learn all of the channel numbers. People are used to going to the Golf Channel at a specific number or ESPN at a very specific number. And if they type in that number and it goes into, let's say, a cartoon channel, then it becomes frustrating. So we're just moving the ones that are very seldom watched to that higher spectrum and then putting other channels in their place.
Okay,
And so, no, you don't need a box. That would be terrifying to go into thousands of homes and just add 4 or 5 boxes per house. It would just be a nightmare for us, so.
yeah,
We're specifically making it to be the
Yeah.
easiest transition ever, just.
So if you can get the service now, I mean, for the public of this, if you get the service now without a box, you can still get the service.
Yeah, exactly. And everybody who has a box, you're just going to wake up in the morning and your guide will have updated everything. And so your channels will be there.
And so now, if you're like Sam that has a tube TV, you can get a free box to launch your.
So if people want the free box, they call you and you'll bring one out to them.
Oh, yeah, correct. And if anybody has an issue scanning their televisions, they'll call Greenfield. And if Greenfield can't talk to them, we'll send a technician out. And so, yeah, it's going to be a lot easier than our last transition, a lot easier. So, and it's to be done at when the customer needs it done. Whenever it's best for them to scan the channels or to get an additional box, it's not going to be August 1st you wake up and you have to have an appointment to get your TV working. So, just going to wake up and there's going to be those additional channels there.
All right. Anything else? Any further questions?
And once again, for clarification, everybody in the community is getting this updated paper. I'm not sure if you have the same one that you do. That's the older version. So I'm looking at the June 13th version of this. So when everybody gets it, they'll all be on the same page. You'll see the channels that you're going to get, the different packages, what you're expected to do, when the event's going to be held, and then just to clarify everything and put everybody on the same page.
That's going out in the, that's going out in the mail? Is that your
Yeah.
program?
Yeah,
To all the residents or just the current
I
subscribers?
believe every resident. So,
All right, that's good, because I think people see that hopefully will
Yeah.
subscribe.
absolutely.
So, anything else? We need to make a motion then? I don't think we had a motion to, have a motion to approve the channel lineup change?
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
All right, Tim makes a motion to approve the lineup change of $48. Second?
I'll second.
Sam seconds. Any more discussion on that? All right, hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Brandon.
Anything else?
No problem.
All right,
Appreciate it.
thanks, Brandon. I have a couple other questions, but we'll wait till Communications Committee to.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, and the next is an update on the insurance recommendations. Some changes that we've made to people that are trying to reserve our facilities and how we're handling that insurance-wise. RMA's insurance broker recommended that any users of RMA's amenities provide the association with certificate of insurance, naming RMA's additional insured. This was recommended as a measure to protect RMA from lawsuits and increase insurance premiums. And this originally kicked off last year when we had a meeting with our broker, and we went over some items, and he had some concerns, and so we've started implementing some policies to alleviate those concerns. Sports leagues and community groups provide a certificate of insurance when using the amenities, including liquor liability coverage as needed. Residents' private events, birthday parties, graduations, anniversaries now require a certificate of insurance of at least $100,000 only if alcohol is being served or there are more than 50 attendees. The amount was kept lower than the recommended $1 million in an effort to make sure RMA was protected from liability, but also not to cause additional cost to the resident. Most homeowners policies are at least $100,000 for general liability coverage, and typically you'll see $300,000, $500,000, and $1 million. Residents can obtain the certificate from their homeowners or renters policy, where there are various event insurance providers available online. And so all we're asking is that if you're serving alcohol, you have more than 50 attendees, that you go to your homeowner carrier and ask them to name us additional insured and provide that certificate to us. And last year we implemented the requirement on the bigger groups, and they've come into line with that too.
How many sort of events do we have like private events with more than 50 attendees a year? Do we have any idea?
Quite a few. I mean, I would say 4 or 5 a month. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot more than
I have a question, and maybe I'm just reading too much into this. It has if alcohol is being served. If everyone brings their own, is that meet the intent, or is there if alcohol is involved of the event?
If people are bringing alcohol, if alcohol is being served in any shape or form, they need to have the additional insured.
So whether all 49 bring their own and they're serving themselves, but so basically anytime alcohol is involved, we're going to have this filled out.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
How about a situation where you open up an activity for anyone to show up, and you don't know how many is going to show up, you anticipate it'll be under 50, but it goes over 50.
Well, when you fill out the reservation form, you're typically going to say over 50 or under 50. If you put under 50, insurance is not required. If 50 show up, 51 show up,
You call security and
yeah.
send the others home, 51
the
home.
last two have to go home, yeah.
I mean, if something happened, I mean, and they said they were gonna be under 50 and they have 75 people there and, you know, a claim results out of it to RMA, I'm sure we'll be looking back to them and they could be potentially problematic for them on their insurance and, you know, not getting coverage. So I would think that at least a prudent homeowner, you know, would want to protect themselves. And it doesn't, I don't think, it doesn't really cost anything to get this certificate of insurance from carriers. So.
I would think you ought to check with your homeowner's insurance and see what the procedure is. That may not be, I don't know how easy it would be to get that certificate, like from AAA or whoever your carrier might be.
You know, typically it should be something they can scan over or fax over to you.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, usually, I mean, I've obviously dealt with it in a commercial setting with not homeowners, but, you know, commercial general liability. It's, yeah, they could email it to you, fax it to you that day, whatever, so. It's no big deal.
You're sure you're not thinking of ARP?
So do we need a motion on that?
No,
or
no,
that's
it's just
okay.
something, I mean, we just want to update you on what we're doing to implement
All right,
what we
sounds
talked about
good.
last year. Okay, that's the end of my report.
All right, that's the end of the report. Committee reports, first up is finance.
Finance committee has not met this past month, but we will be meeting in July.
Okay, great.
Yeah, it's not right.
Architectural review, Sam.
Architectural review, okay, we met June the 15th, and during that meeting, we approved minutes, and we had hearings on driveway parking variances, common area lease, a couple of swimming pools, deck that had been built without proper approval from RMA, and looked over a lot of staff projects. So it's been a rather busy year, and it's getting less busy for RMA. You know, we meet twice a month in architectural review, and because there's been less building and less activity, there's been months when we have only met once. And so I would just think in the future, if the need for meeting twice a month continues as it currently is, we may want to go back and review the requirement to have meetings twice a month for architectural review. I have some common area leases that was reviewed by ARC, and we've got common area lease and these will be all for change of ownership in their existing leases. And then I have some additional leases that are coming up. So I want to make a motion, and I'll just put all of these that are change of ownership into one motion, but let me see. Let me do the one first here for common area lease. That is not a change of ownership. It's for lot 1701. And we sent letters out to 11 lots. 8 made no comment, 3 lots had no objections, and 0 lots objected. This is a common area lease that meets all the requirements of the civil code. They're going to have a 5-foot ornamental fence, metal fence, landscaping, and flagstone patio. There are some existing, this is an addition to a current common area lease. And they're gonna add 500, I think it's 525 feet.
That's what I was looking for, I don't see that.
Yeah, it's right here on this, on the diagram.
Oh, got it.
For a total of 1,027 feet. And so they're gonna just kind of fence in some areas, but they're gonna include, screen for the trash enclosures, an air conditioning screen, an LP gas tank, and a deck. And so it's in a secluded area in the back of the house that is really not accessible to the other residents. So ARC recommends approval of that, and my motion is for the board to approve the common area lease for lot 1701, and it's an addition and 525 square feet.
All right, we have a motion to approve the common area lease for lot 1701. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and second. Any questions or comments? I just want clarification. I thought I understood you. So the new lease will be 1,027 square feet? Is that?
No, the total will be, they're adding 525.
But they're not gonna have two leases. Is it just, does it amend? Are they gonna have two leases, or do you amend the? Yeah, so then with the amendment, it'll be 1,027. Okay, yeah. So, gotcha. All right, any other comments, questions? All right, hearing none, all in favor of approving the common area lease for lot 1701, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously.
Okay, and I have common area lease for lot 143, lot 1500, lot 1543, and lot 1955. And those lots are all change of ownership, and the owners have all paid the required fees through escrow. So my motion is for those change of ownership common area leases to be approved.
All right, we have a motion to approve common area lease agreements for transfer of ownership to lots 143, 1500, 1543, and 1955. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, any comments, questions? And I'll treat this sort of like the consent calendar, I guess. Does anybody wish one lot to be removed to discuss it? Hold on. All right, hearing nothing, all those in favor of approving the common area lease agreements for transfer of ownerships to lots 143, 1500, 1543, and 1955, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously.
You know, we, for 2016, we handled in addition to the ones that I talk about here, we handled like 539 processes come through for residential plants, tree removals, tree trimming, painting, roofing, you know, all replacing the windows, gutters, solar lights, all kinds of stuff. So really, the committee and the staff, Mark and April, they really do have a lot of stuff that comes across their desk every year. So it's, so far this year, it's been a little bit slower, I think, than normal. We're only up to 140, and here it is 6 months. So things are slowing down somewhat in the community. Just information. Thank you, that's my report.
All right, thanks, Sam. Next up is Communications Committee. Cheryl.
Okay, the Communications Committee met on June 15th, and the main topic for our committee after approving the minutes was to hear from Meg Powers with Greenfield, who came to discuss with the Communications Committee about the new subscriber costs going from $40 to $48, the talked about his negotiations with Dish Network and the fact that they were going to restructure a new deal there and create more channels for us and address some of the channels that people had requested. And we had just pretty much discussed all the stuff that Brandon had just reported on with us. So that was the main topic of our communications committee, and that was it.
All right, thanks, Cheryl. Brandon, I have another question for you, if you don't mind coming up just real quick, because I saw it in the comment sections on the RanchoMarietta.com with Damon saying there were some issues with, I don't know, the fiber crimping or something in the boxes or something like that, and
Is
you
that the one
replaced.
that came across my desk? Yeah. Yeah, so there was, I saw the comment and it was about a switch.
Yeah,
outside the
switch,
house.
that's it, yeah.
I wasn't actually quite sure what he was talking about since nobody who has internet has a switch. So I can only infer that he's talking about possibly a splice, which is the connectorized end of a cable. We've had a few of them fail. I would say roughly 6 a month out of over 2,000 of them that are out there. And so it's such a small rate that we're not concerned at all. Essentially, if anyone has an issue, just call Greenfield and we'll come out.
Yeah, I was just
Because I
curious.
wouldn't infer that whatever issue someone's having is specifically,
Yeah,
to
I
that.
was sort of inferring that maybe a wider spread problem than it really appears to be.
Yeah, I have no widespread problems at all. Actually, we're kind of lax on work right now with anything that has to do with splicing. There's a lot of additional homes that we've been running fiber to or conduit. I know we just ran one on Para a few days ago, and so we have a little bit of splicing, and a lot of times what we're doing is working in an area to actually improve our signal, because our system is designed that each strand of fiber that leaves our head in can run up to 32 homes, yet we may have only mapped it out to run 28 homes, so we actually are splicing it more efficiently to give even a better signal too. That's it. In the communications meeting, I know after it was over, Mike was going to ask about, or forgot to bring up something with Cheryl, that he sent Craig an email about. I didn't know if that was, right now is a time to talk about that, or you guys already talked about it, okay. So is it something that needs to be brought up here? Mike just wanted me to ask, and so I'm just. Perfect. So other than that, yeah, so there is no switch on the side of any home, and the only switches that would be on the side of a home are TV related, not internet related. But that's about all I gotta say on that.
All right, oh, great, I just wanted a clarification, because you see that and you're like, what's really going on? I guess maybe because
exactly.
I'm former communications chair too. I'm
Oh,
like, what's
exactly,
going on
yeah.
out there?
And it took me a while. I had actually asked a couple of my guys, like, okay, what happened at this specific house? What kind of switch is he talking about? So,
Okay.
and it came down just to a simple splice broken. And when you're using glass breaks
Yeah, sure.
sometimes. So,
All right,
Let
great.
me ask you a question about your phone service.
go ahead.
Occasionally, when I try to call here to RMA, I have Greenfield's phone, and I don't know, I think RMA has IPO or IPA or whatever it is. Do you?
Yeah.
They can hear me, but I can't hear them. Is there a,
What?
should I call you guys? Or,
No, yeah,
well,
we'd like to check it out because it's only the specific phone number. Do you have that
Yeah.
issue calling anyone else, or is it just?
I
No
did-
one calls him.
Well, I mean, since he brought it up, I get the same problem when Greg calls from his office phone to my house, and I'm on Greenfield too,
Where
that,
you can hear him, but in it.
I know,
but
I
it's-
can't hear anything.
Okay.
yeah, and that was what today, they could hear me.
I mean,
but I couldn't.
I thank you for that blockage of not being able to hear Greg, but then he calls
A
up
little
my
attenuation,
from his
that's all
house.
it needs.
It's called selective hearing.
That's well worth the extra $50 a month, right?
But is it specific to calling here though?
Yeah, it seems to be when I call
Yeah.
here.
Okay, both of you, all right. All right, we'll definitely take a look at it. Yeah, I'll call our tech guy and ask him if there's any
Sam,
specific.
staff is blocking it. It's called
Well.
ID.
And there's also a mute button on your phone. Sometimes you-
I've checked that, because I immediately call some other number and the phone works, and so it's like,
Like I said, and is it intermittent or is it?
Yeah, it's intermittent, unfortunately.
He's just making it up though. All right, thank you guys.
Now if we need my in-laws to, no, keep that out of the minutes.
Easy, we're gonna have to edit the tape there, pal.
All right, anything else, Cheryl?
No, that's it.
All right, great. Next up, compliance.
Thank you. Compliance met June 5th. As you can see, we had a pretty busy calendar with quite a few appeals. What I would ask you to take a look at is the violation summary. Again, our top two issues are speeding and stop sign issues. The third would be property maintenance. And again, I think most of it is, now that we're out of the droughts and the grass is growing, we do have to kind of mow the yards and trim the bushes, et cetera, et cetera. I would like to take just a minute and give Darlene over at CSD a whole lot of credit and thank her for the action she took regarding the security chief. It took, no one likes to make those kind of decisions, but I understand it's a personnel issue, but I personally, as a board member, appreciate her taking that action. So with that, that's all I have for my board report.
All right, thank you, Tim. Do you have any docs? We didn't meet this month. So, next item, maintenance committee, Larry.
Yeah, the maintenance committee met on June 5th, and we discussed some numerous issues of some common area improvements, and the committee actually agreed to the pump house that has been put on around the pump over here on Laguna Joaquin. Was several, I don't know, 8 bricks high, and on 3 sides, and one side was only 6 bricks high or something, and we had a resident ask for them to raise that up so it was even all around, and the committee agreed with them. We had a complaint about a tree needing to be removed, and there was no logical reason for that. It's not harming anything. So we denied that request, and there was some issues about maintaining some of the little walk bridges that go from the walkway onto the residential areas around Chesbro and Calero. There's a little drainage ditch there.
Oh, yeah.
Between the residents and the
right.
lake, and there's some issues about the maintenance of that, and so Greg was going to send a letter out informing the residents that the maintenance of those little walk bridges are kind of their responsibility.
I'm assuming they put them there.
Yeah, it probably wasn't the current owner, but somebody
Right.
that owned the property,
Okay.
or near the property near
Right.
there in the
Got it.
past was, so
Okay.
that was kind of a,
Thank you.
Greg, do you have any comment on that, or that's, yeah, just kind of a cleanup of letting people understand what's going on. And then the maintenance you had here, when you sat down, you had a list of the maintenance issues that Rod is still working on, those he's completed, and the ones that are still being active, and a suggested time frame. Then we've got a lot of to be determined, which we'll work through as a committee and let the board know how those are progressing.
I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
Weed abatement, thank you, Rod. As I pedal my hind end around the community, nicely done, thank you. Rebuilding the landing at Laguna Joaquin, refresh me, was that the access getting down to the dock? It's never gonna reach. Pull it, just yank on it. No, it'll go, just pull.
No, let Wayne do it, you'll,
It's, I'm sorry, it's like number 4 or 5 down on to be announced.
Yeah, I think actually, and sorry, Tim, but I believe that one is, we have a very difficult time launching our boats to do any maintenance of the lake. Currently, that access is in an area that's just very difficult to back down. Plus, while we're launching, we're blocking the entire pathway.
Okay, so it has nothing to do with the new dock space.
No.
Okay, perfect. Answered my question. Thank you. The other,
Tim, real quick though, Rod and I have talked about a different area to build build a little slope assisting boats to be able to get down into the water, which would mitigate even using that area. But that'll come up in the future. When we
perfect.
get-
I just didn't understand what the landing portion was.
Sure.
If I'm not mistaken, Greg, a whole bunch of these are back at the board, the lighting for the tennis courts and all that, and I own some of that, because I was gonna follow up with a couple of the community groups. So that's more of a funding issue, not so much a maintenance issue, because we haven't given it the funds, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Is that how I understand the first couple of those?
Yeah, the funding is for all the lights. The dog
Okay.
part on the south,
No, and that's fine, just mainly the lights, that's kind of back
Right, yes.
to us, okay. And then, I know we had discussion about the drinking fountain, and that's the one way up before you get to the lakes. It's working, but that's only because the resident turned it on?
is it working? It wasn't working because I thought the
Yeah,
resident turned it
I've
off.
used it the last couple of days.
Okay, so they've turned it back on.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's my question, I don't know if we have to do something, or if the resident turned it back on.
At one point, that got on our list
Right,
because
because it wasn't on, and
it
houses
wasn't
were
on,
saying-
and we wanted to figure out a way to get water up there off of one of our meters somewhere.
And as of right now, there's no doggy bowl, but the.
So they've turned, okay, it's awesome, they've turned it back on, so yeah. You can take the complete.
Well, I checked it last week and it didn't come on.
Dude, I just filled it up today.
Sorry, Tim, I need to go back to your question. So we've been talking about, and I tied this landing area to getting another access for our boats. But now I realize that's actually a landing area that deteriorated and become a safety issue over, for those of you that are familiar with lot numbers, over right around lot number 40. That we went ahead and tore out because it was a safety issue, and now we need to put it back in place.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Rod.
All right, I just go back to this improvements by residents issue. I guess I kind of want some clarification, because this pops up periodically. If a former owner makes an improvement, I guess without a landscape license, there's probably no way that the new owners gonna know that that's their responsibility. Unless we tell them, I guess. I mean, is there any mechanism to do that now, or how does that work? And I'm assuming the former owner didn't have a landscape license. They just went out and did it or something.
The one that's an issue was, it's a circle lot. So the homeowner really doesn't own much beyond the.
Right, no, I
the
understand
physical
that,
footprint
but
of the house.
so they're making an improvement to common area, but they didn't get a common area lease, or they didn't get a landscape license or anything.
Yeah, I think what Bob's referring to is you've got a lot of improvements that were maybe done in the 80s that maybe were never made it onto paper, or they were put in at midnight, so they never made it into paper. And so you have transfer of the properties, and how does the new owner know they're responsible when they say, we want this tree taken out? And RMA said, we didn't plant the tree, it's your tree, you need to take it out. He says,
Yeah, exactly.
it's not on my property. We said, sorry, we didn't plant it, you take it out, it's your responsibility. So I think what we've been kicking around is, do we want to start doing escrow inspections? So anytime a property go in the escrow would go out, would do an inspection of the property and note what improvements are there. If there's not anything on paper as to what those improvements are, then you would request the owner, the then owner, to come in and fill out the landscape license, whatever's required in order to bring that property into compliance.
Yeah, that seems to make sense, if there's a way we can at least
It makes sense. It's,
efficiently do that, I suppose.
It's, and there's issues with adopting that too. Number one, do we actually know where all the property lines are for those lots? I mean, definitely you don't, as part of an escrow inspection, you really can't afford to go out and do a survey each time. I mean, some it might be obvious, others it might not be obvious if it's on the property or it's off the property. It works fairly well in a lotted neighborhood that's a very traditional lot where you have fenced-in backyards and everything. You can go out and do an escrow inspection. You look in the backyard, see there's a patio cover, not approved, they got to get approval for it. Out here, it's a little bit more difficult because we don't necessarily have fence lines. We got circle lots, we got cottage lots, and so it's something we've been talking about. It's just implementing it is a little bit more challenging.
And if they have let's say they went out and they got a landscape license to landscape common area, does that run with the land when it's sold, or does it expire upon
It
its?
runs with the land.
All right, that's all I have.
So if you did that, Greg, what you were talking about, last year would be 169 inspections, this year would be 44.
Right, and typically, you can, most associations charge for them. You charge $7,500 to somebody to go out there and do that inspection and help them process whatever needs to be processed.
And then we could collect that fee, through escrow or something?
Yes. I mean, I think Serrano is voluntary up there. I know that Woodridge Village and Irvine, it's mandatory there. So different I mean, for a long time, the associations to do it because they were concerned about liability. If you noticed something in an escrow inspection, it caused the escrow to fall out because the new owner wasn't aware either it was or was not on the property. And so does the association have a liability if that escrow was to fall out.
All right. All right, anything else? Anybody else have anything else for Larry? Maintenance?
And that's the end of my report.
All right, thanks. Larry, next
Oh, I'm
up.
sorry, Rod, I thanked you before the meeting, but thank you to you and your crew for the down limbs and all those things and helping out the homeowners. It is truly appreciated by the residents, so.
Oh,
Sorry I
yeah,
didn't
I
get that in.
definitely second that. All right, Cheryl, Parks Committee.
Parks Committee has not met.
What, did you meet the same day as finance?
I think
What the hell?
In governing docs, we do it all at the
Oh,
same
jeez.
time.
Actually, most of the Parks Committee people are out in the parks. I mean, it's just like, it's summer, people are vacationing, there's no.
Oh, so they're using the park, so
They're
you
using the
can't,
park.
no, I understand, okay.
Nothing
Hey,
but-
speaking of going back, maybe it's a parks question, maybe it's a maintenance question. The spray park, any issues with that at all this year? Is it running pretty smoothly?
We had one issue at initial startup. If we caught it before it was opened, and ever since it's been running fine. So, yeah.
What, the water wasn't working, or?
When the control panel was not working. So,
No, I see the youngsters out there
yeah.
having fun, it's packed.
I do appreciate not having to get cotton candy
This is
all
a
over
good
my
test.
face.
Yeah,
Oh,
I was gonna complain about not having a party for opening day.
Yeah, remember last year we froze.
Yeah.
And it was so cold that day. I bet they're loving it
Yeah,
this week.
exactly. All right, Alex, Recreation Committee.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. And yes, we've reached our last committee report of the evening. First off, hey, I want to thank the community. I want to thank the board for your patience as we've worked our way, we've massaged our way through these rules for the 4th of July parade, which is only 2 weeks away now, and I hope to see you all there. So I do want to thank everyone for your patience and for your feedback as we worked our way through this. There is one additional tweak to the rules. The family members, we want to make it clear that family members are welcome in the parade, and it's the non-resident vehicles that are not allowed. So we want to make sure that you're all clear on that. And vintage cars, and that would be 1969 and older, are allowed. But be sure to fill out a registration form at the RMA building or call, and we'll mail one to you. So we're hoping to have a fun and exciting 4th of July here in a couple of weeks. Our next Recreation Committee meeting is scheduled for August 3rd, tentatively. And we do have baseball this weekend. Is that right?
We do, and it's going to be 74 degrees in San Francisco on Sunday, so Come get on the bus and get out of the heat. We still have a few tickets left. It leaves Stonehouse Park at 9:30 on Sunday for a 1 o'clock game. Give Barbara a call at the office and she can get you signed up. The cost is $79.
And who are they playing again?
The Mets.
The Mets?
We
There's
have
no
summertime
competition.
bingo on Friday, June 30th at 6 o'clock here at the building. Give Barbara a call for if you'd like to come. And then we have the last baseball game on August 9th, which is a Wednesday against the Cubs.
All right, thanks Denise. Couple of comments. First, I guess on the baseball, I did note the National League West standings. Having said that, why can the Dodgers beat every other team in the National League but the Giants, and the Giants can't beat anybody else but the Dodgers is beyond me.
It's very vexing. It's a very vexing issue, yes.
And the other comment on a more serious note is on this, on the parade, and I think I understand it, and I want to just ask for clarification since we seem to go around on it. The only issue with family members in the parade is with regard to vehicles. The vehicle has to be a resident, non-resident people. So if, Joe resident has,
You just confused me, Bob. I have no
Yeah.
idea what the hell you just said.
let me start over then.
Okay.
I think the intent of my understanding is that, and I've had some people say, because I think it came out that said, non-residents can't be in the parade, and I think the intent of that
Was cars.
was cars and cars only, so that if Joe resident has his nieces and nephews visiting from Chicago that are 10, they could ride on the golf cart or march in the parade or ride their bikes or whatever. I just want to make sure that was.
Non-resident cars.
Yeah, so it's just non-resident cars only that are prohibited, which is really the intent, I think, where we started out to be on. And have we had any, I guess we haven't had any issues or complaints or anybody wanting to put in cars that are not vintage cars or anything of that nature?
No, we've had some folks sign up, so
Okay,
that's
good.
good. I also wanted to mention that 4th of July passes are ready, so people can come get those. They're good to have even if your visitors are on your permanent list, because they'll just help them get through the gate
And they
easier.
give out, how many, is it 5? Or
5 per lot.
5 per lot.
The only comment, I want to thank Alex and staff for getting out ahead on this so that when we have some clarification, we have it out ahead of time. So, because I know the prior chair really was kind of a knucklehead, so, but especially this, so we've cleaned it up, so thank you, Alex, for
I
doing
thought
it.
Denise did a great job in the prior thing.
Well, then I stand by the knucklehead
I didn't know,
statement.
I thought the committee was dormant until Alex. Except for the Christmas lights, that seemed to
Wow.
magically,
I gotta go. I'm leaving early. Darlene, would you
all
make that?
right, anything else, Alex, that it?
No, that's it, thank you.
All right, that will conclude our meeting. The next,
Quick one. I gotta get up at 5:30 in the morning.
Board of Directors meeting will be July 18,
Run up to Altown
2017, at 6:30 PM here in the RMA building. And we are adjourned only 4 minutes later than scheduled in the agenda.